Koitiarapuru Sounds.
With all of the islands that we've been visiting, all of them have very unique food, culture, languages. Vanuatu is no different. It just has, maybe compared to some of the Polynesian islands, a little bit more color. Right there on my left is Mele Island. The history of that island, it was once populated by Samoans or Tongans, and they kind of outgrew the island. They then moved onto the shore and gave birth to what is now Mele Village, who owns this beautiful beach that we're standing on. Another unique thing about Vanuatu, the level of instruments. We came here looking for nose flutes and stamping tubes, and when we landed here, we got introduced to a whole plethora of mouth flutes. I've never heard it before, never seen it, though the sound seems familiar, just like Vanuatu itself, there's a little twist.
The very first ever way how to communicate, there's no word yet, but already our smoke talks on our behalf. Then later on, we come to body language, eye contact, shouting, whistling. Then we come across to our pambo flutes. Then we come to corn shell. Then we come to tam-tam. But we feel that that is not enough. Then now we decide to write in a dusk. That's our custom writing. We call it batu uli uli. Batu means head, and uli uli means writing. All these things is a very, very first ever original custom school, which is only taught in our task, including the songs on our custom flute that we are playing today.
Sand art or sand drawing was once a revered, uniquely Vanuatu art form. As Edgar explains, these were forms of communication that, according to the country's mythology, existed before the spoken word. Even when language developed, the art form remained as a valued part of its history. And as the Sumerians invented writing as a means of long-distance communication, Vanuatu adopted instruments to store and record the manual to harmonious living, relationships, mourning, and more.
In Vanuatu, especially in Benama, we've got lots of flutes, different kinds of flutes. There are about nearly to 10 of our own original pambo flutes. The one I'm holding in my hand now, we call it ravwe. Ravwe means a sound of bride. It's a very haunted sound that talks about your heart talks. So this is a ravwe flute, only 2 holes. Some was 6 holes, some was 4 holes, some was 3 holes, some was only 1 hole. And also we got one very rare pambo, which is behind there, that is called warue. That's a double-fluted pambo. That's a very, very oldest original pambo flute.
One of the fascinating relationships between indigenous Vanuatu and her sound instruments is its role in not only maintaining an unbroken oratorial narrative of her foundation stories, but as a go-to guide when approaching every aspect of life, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and intimately. Wadaway is a double-footed flute where one end represents male and the other the female, symbolic of the relationship between man and woman. And long before the world enlisted the help of a marriage counselor or a decision-making mentor, Vanuatu had Wadaway.
Tintini means taboo, 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 taboo. We shouldn't be doing something which is wrong. We have to do all the things which is perfect, because when we say tintini means when you touch someone, then we say tintini, 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 don't touch it. Because if you like to touch it, but you have to mean it. We call for something. We call to be fruitful.
In other words,
Intimacy between a man and woman should not be entered into lightly and casually, but with great respect, knowing that its fruits will be new life. And if one is not prepared to take the responsibility of supporting and caring for the fruits of such a union, then please don't touch Tintini and move along.
So acorn, or in Bishlama we call it Nambahura. In mother tongue language from North Pentecost we call it Bahura. This is a little instrument that belongs to an orphan. He was there living with her mother and daddy. And one day, her daddy died firstly. Slowly on, his mother also died. He's a real orphan. When Huni is crying, then he decided to find a little seed, which is rotted away. The seeds inside are taken away. Then he created a little instrument, which is called Nambahura.
Edgar explained that the orphaned child's cry for help was because the village would not come to his aid, for he was the child of a union that was frowned upon by the collective.
The song that I've been playing is like a cry, a mourning of a little boy that talks about Awetamango, means, oh my dad, oh my dad, oh my mom, why are you? I'm here now. When we are in mourning for someone who dies, you really lose your loved wife, or your husband, or your daddy, your mom, even your grandma or granddaddy. But you are really in mourning. When your heart breaks, or you're right, but no one is seeing you, then we cry very deeply with our sound. We cry and sometimes we're losing our voice. Then we have to see lots of people crying one by one. Then we have to cry. It means I'm losing my voice, but I'm still crying. I can wake up till daylight, but I'm still crying. My cry always goes on. This pambo, we call it Bua Day Day, Wandayana. Bua Day Day, it means the moment we cry, then you can sense, you can feel that something is wrong. It comes to the end of one human being. Because we're only crying only for two things. We cry tears of enjoyment and tears of death. All these pambos that we're playing now, I'm playing for you here now. If you go around, it's very hard to be finding them. If we decided to be doing a dramatized custom story, maybe it will be very interesting to be bringing the attention of our kids and the younger generation to come in, and also they have to learn what is on a flute. So I'm playing here, I'm playing Pentecost, but I don't know who is the next person behind me. These instruments are very, very rare, they're very, very expensive, but we have to protect them in one way.
Edgar's desires of keeping alive our practices serves as a great reminder to all tangata Moana of the unique interdependence relationship between we the people and our natural surroundings. There's a Samoan proverb that states, "Aleai se ngana, ualeai se nganu. Aleai se nganu, uapolenu." If you have no language, you have no culture. If you have no culture, you have no people.
Toi te ara pūru, Sounds.